and welcome to Drilling Deeper at mining.com.au. I'm Oriel Morrison. Joining me today is Dr. Mike Jones, the Managing Director of Impact Minerals. Mike, welcome. It's great to have you with us today.
Thanks, Oriel, and great to be giving an update.
Well, you've got an update for us on the Alluminous HiPurA technology platform.
We do indeed. So for those that aren't familiar with the story, back in April, we announced that we had purchased 50% of a company that now owns the assets of a competitor of ours in the HPA space that went into administration in January. That was ChemX Materials. They got themselves into financial trouble, but when we looked under the hood, the technology that they had for their high purity alumina production was actually pretty good, had some unique features about it. And so we put together a bid with the original founders of ChemX to get the technology out of administration. And so that bid was successful. And so we took possession of all the assets on the 1st of May, took keys to a factory down here in Fremantle. And so today's update is really all about what we've been doing since that time.
Well, part of it is bringing on another industry leader as chair, Tim Netscher. This is exciting. What does it mean for the company's growth plans?
Look, Tim is a very experienced, well-known and very renowned director and chair of many companies. And in particular, people would know him right now because he's been the long-standing chairman of Gold Road Limited, which is, at the moment is under a $3.5 billion takeover with by Goldfields Limited, the South African mining company. That's a fantastic outcome for all of the Gold Road shareholders, and Tim has been very instrumental in that. And so he brings a very unique mix of both commercial acumen and also technical skills, because originally he is actually a chemical engineer, and the production of high purity alumina is very much a chemical engineering challenge to get to that high purity. So look, having Tim on board, he's done his due diligence. It's a great tick of validation for us and for the process, and also our business plan, which is basically getting the pilot plant up and running and then looking to establish a production base as quickly as we can somewhere in North America, most likely in the USA in the next couple of years. So it's an exciting time.
And this, of course, is all part of your commercialisation strategy, which I know that you've been working on quite hard.
Indeed. So Impact has obviously been in the HPA space now for a couple of years, and in June we put out our pre-feasibility study on our own Lake Hope project, which has its own feedstock, which is the Lake Hope clay from the Salt Lake about 500 kilometres east of Perth, and we have our own patented processes to produce high purity alumina out of that. And so we've been able to get to that PFS in a very short period of time, 2.5 years. But the acquisition of the HiPurA assets, we hope, will absolutely accelerate our entry into the marketplace by a couple of years. And whilst it's a different process, we believe that there's a lot of synergies between the material that we're putting into the front end of our process, which has got a lot of aluminium sulfate in it, and the chemical feedstock that HiPurA has, which is also aluminium sulfate. And there's a lot of similarities in the chemistry at the back end of the two processes as well. So we believe that the Lake Hope is possibly a natural bolt-on to the HiPurA technology, and that's something that we're investigating in Impact, whilst Alluminous is still on its trail of getting the pilot plant going using the chemical feedstock and looking to get some HPA, some white powder in our hands in the next few weeks, which will mean that the plant is actually up and running and working. And then we'll look to get that fully commissioned over the next 4 or 5 months.
So we should have some exciting announcements from you guys then over the next, certainly for the rest of 2025.
Every year is a year of exciting announcements in Impact, Oriel, but in particular this year. And so, yes, look, the plan is we've got hold of the plant, we've turned it on. At the moment, we're moving material in batch format through the process that's in the pilot plant. Once we've done that, because each section has its own commissioning issues, that's no different to any other plant that ever gets turned on, move the material through, and then once we get to HPA at the other end, then we will look to get the plant more fully up and running in a continuous mode. And that's really the goal for the rest of this year. But once we've got to HPA, we're then in a position to interact with clients and look for customer engagement, qualification testing, and look for offtake or letters of intent will be a big focus for us in 2026. And let me say that we've already had some pretty strong interest from potential end users, which is fantastic. And in terms of that end use, I will say that Alpha HPA Limited, code A4N, current market cap $1 billion, have been very successful in this space. They're building a plant in the next 2 years, which will allow them to produce 10,000 tonnes per annum of HPA. And they've had indicative demand for 30,000 tonnes of HPA. So it's definitely a case of there's huge latent demand out there. We just need to be able to show that we can provide that material. And I'm very confident at that point, the interest and letters of intent and the move towards offtake will happen very rapidly.
Well, certainly looking forward to your announcements. Mike, thank you so much for chatting to me today.
No problem at all. Look forward to the update next.